Okay, class, today we're going to be talking about parabolas. And a parabola is the set of all points x and y that are equidistant from the fixed line called the directrix and a fixed point called the focus that is not on the line. So you can see that this distance is congruent to this distance and this distance is congruent to this distance. And these are all meeting perpendicularly at the directrix. The vertex here is the midpoint between the focus and the directrix. So this distance here is going to be congruent to this distance here. So we want to keep that in mind. That will come up a lot. And the axis of symmetry, which is in gray, is the line that passes through both the vertex and the focus. So there's our axis of symmetry. The directrix is a fixed line that is going to be p units away from the vertex. So this is p units. And likewise, the focus is also p units from the vertex. So I said they were congruent, and we're going to call them p units. So we have two equations. We have when the direction is up and down, or the direction is left and right. We've done a lot of parabolas up and down. We are going to be using the standard form for up and down, where the x is squared is up and down, and then when the y is squared, it is left and right. Our h and k is going to be the center, the vertex, and p is going to be this distance described above. And here we see the image of it upward facing with the vertex at hk, and also sideways facing parabola with its vertex at hk. And again, from the directrix to the vertex is length p, and also from the vertex to the focus is length p. Let's explore p a little further and look at example 1. So example 1 says this, we're going to find the standard form of the equation of the parabola. If the vertex is at negative 1, 2, so let's plot the point negative 1, 2. There's my vertex, and the focus is at negative 1, 0. So here's my vertex, and here's my focus. So we're always going to label them with a V and an F. So if the focus is here and the vertex is here, I know if I'm going to do an extremely rough sketch that it's going to be opening downward because my focus is always on the inside of the parabola. Additionally, I know that this is p units, so I know that it is also p units up to the directrix. So if this was at 2, then I know I'm going to go an additional 2 units up to 4 for my directrix, because I know that that's also p units. So I know I have my directrix right here. Okay, so because I know that it opens downward, I'm going to be using the up-down equation. And the up-down equation is x minus h squared equals 4p y minus k. So in this case, I have my vertex, so I have my h and my k, so I can plug those in. X is my variable. Minus a negative 1 becomes a plus 1 equals 4. Now my p, it's 2 units, so I know my p is going to be 2, but since it's downward, we're going to make p negative. If it were upward facing parabola, p would be positive. And then it's going to be y minus k, in this case, is 2. So now I just need to simplify those. So my standard form equation of my parabola is x plus 1 squared is negative 8 y minus 2. So let's talk about one of those things that I just said about my p. So if my parabola opens up or to the right, my p is positive. If my parabola opens down or left, p is going to be negative. Okay, so let's move on to example 2. In example 2, I'm asked to find the vertex, the focus, the directrix of the parabola, and then sketch its graph. So in order to find all of these things, I need to first put it into standard form. So in order to put it into standard form, you have to complete the square. So first we have to decide, is this an up-down parabola or a right-left parabola? So you look to see if the x is squared or the y is squared. In this case, our x's is squared. When our x is squared, we're going to know that it's going to be an up-down. If the y was squared, then it would be a left-right parabola. Okay, so what we're going to do to put it in standard form, we're going to keep all of our x's grouped together. I'm going to leave some space, and I'm going to put my y's on the other side and my constant on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 8x to the other side, and I'm going to subtract 9 to the other side. I should say 8y. Okay, so when you're completing the square, you take the variable that's squared and put it on the left and everything else on the right. So when we complete the square, we're going to take half of this middle number, which is -1, and we're going to square it. And I'm going to square that -1 and add it to the other side. Since I added 1 to the right-hand side, the left-hand side, I'm going to have to add it to the right-hand side. So if I were to factor x squared minus 2x plus 1, it would factor as this perfect square, x minus 1 squared. I'm just going to tidy up my right-hand side, -8y minus 8. So in order to finish it in standard form, I have to get rid of this coefficient. So I'm going to factor out my -8 out of both terms. And I have y. When I pull -8 out of -8, I have +1. And I'm going to have the left-hand side is still x minus 1 squared. So this is standard form. From this, I can see that my p is going to be negative. So since I said it was up or down, I know it's going to be downward since my p is a negative number. And the standard form was this coefficient, -8, is where the 4p was. So I know my p is -2. Additionally, I know that my h is +1 and my k is -1. Because remember, it's x minus your h and y minus your k. So I have my vertex is at 1, -1. So let's go ahead and plot what we have. So my vertex is at 1, -1. And I know my p is -2, so I'm going to go 2 in either direction. Now one of these is the vertex, one of these is the focus and the other one is the directrix. Since my vertex is here at -1, 1, and I go p units down, I know this parabola in a rough sketch is opening downward. I know the one inside the parabola needs to be my focus. So that going p units the other direction is my directrix. So we're always going to label our f, our v, and our d, and then we're going to place our values on the axes. So I know that this value is 1. This is -1. My vertex went down, my focus went down to -3. My directrix went up to 1. So the sketch is that this parabola here is really just a very rough sketch, but my v, my f, and my d are all accurately drawn. Okay, so we were asked to find the vertex, which we did. We need to find the focus. Well, I found it. It's right here. The coordinates are at 1, -3. So the focus is at 1, -3. We found the focus. We need to find the directrix. The directrix is this line here that goes through the y-axis at 1. So the directrix is the line y equals 1. And then we sketch its parabola. Well, that's all for tonight. Have a good evening.